Can Michigan athletics be more tone deaf? No, not the basketball one. The football one. You get lucky and you hire Kyle Willingham after everybody pretty much turned you down. What does Kyle Willingham do as his first move? Hire a director of football operation, Natalia Hilton. Who's Natalia Hilton? Oh, that's right. The coach's secretary, a young, hot, attractive, with zero experience, now the head of football operation. No one in the entire athletic department said, hey, Kyle, no, you gotta chill out. We're coming off a major sexual scandal. This has gotta be the most tone-deaf move I've seen all off-season. Speaking of Michigan, congratulations, Michigan. You're the champion for the 2026 basketball season. Now, a lot of people could argue that you purchased this championship with NIL, but I disagree. I think this is one of the best teams in the history of the sport. And they didn't purchase anything because look at Kentucky. A higher payroll, look at UNC. Probably the same payroll in NIL money, but they couldn't get it done. This coach has done a phenomenal job, and they could have folded just like Kentucky and UNC with 5 different transfers. But you know what? They bonded together. They played a great game. Top 3 in the offense all year. Number 1 in the defense. And they couldn't lose. They could do everything, anything right. They were 0-9 in that first half of the UConn game. They only scored 69 points. But man, this team is absolutely a unit. A top 5 team of all time. But the bigger picture, is the Cinderella dead? Iowa was seemingly the only team that was a surprise in the Elite 8. This is kind of concerning, but I don't think it's dead because what the NIL has done has essentially created a more disparity between the power conferences and the mid-major. That is 100% true. Mid-majors are going to have an insanely difficult time to build in 4 years and keep the players that made the mid-majors Cinderella runs. But what has opened up in this scenario is the top of the power programs and the bottom of the power programs will now have very minimal disparity. Teams like Clemson, TCU, UCF, and Iowa, if they can land 1 or 2 targets from the majors and have a good coaching in place, they're going to compete. The disparity is very minimal. But all of this stems from the NCAA's inability to govern themselves in the NIL era. So much so that they had President Trump involved in issuing an executive order and overruling the court orders, throwing this NIL into more chaos. But more on that after a word from our sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Liquorland, your go-to spot for a wide selection of spirits, wine, and more. If you are in the Palm Beach area, be sure to stop by and check in. Remember to drink responsibly. After Congress said NCAA govern your own self, they ran to the president, and President Trump issued an executive order for NIL. Now, don't get me wrong. The intention is great. The rules of this executive order are probably what most college fans want. However, this contradicts pretty much everything the courts ruled against the antitrust for NCAA. But this is all planned. NCAA is run by a bunch of clowns, and they want to create this chaos, this uncertainty, so the Congress will have to step in and help them and guide them like a bunch of babies that they are. This essentially forces the schools to decide if they're going to follow the executive order or the decisions that played out in court. Ultimately, this will get back into court, played out for another couple of years, and we'll be right back where we started. The NCAA, I cannot understand how this is such a hard fix. Look, the cat's already out of the bag. We can't go backwards. What we can do is fix NIL. First and foremost, make contracts a real thing. Make them binding. Second of all, make sure there's buyouts. If some school gets rated by the Big Ten, we'll make sure they get compensated for it. This will allow them to have some financial flexibility and develop talent at a lower level and develop players. That's good for the players too. That's what needs to happen more than anything. Second of all, you guys got to fix this calendar. Now, it's a great move that we now have one transfer window in football. Do it for basketball. Make the season shorter for football. Pull it up a couple of weeks. Let's get this rolling. Why can't we just get these guys in a room? They have unlimited resources. They have some of the brightest minds working for them, but they cannot seem to figure it out. And it's because they don't want to figure it out. They want to keep pushing this can down the road as much as possible because that's what they've always done. Again, clowns in a room together. NIL didn't change college sports. It simply exposed it. And now the SEC looks like it's in a full-blown panic mode. We have Greg Sankey talking about expanding the basketball tournament to 78 teams. Do we really need to see a subpar Auburn, Oklahoma, or maybe the 15th, 16th, 17th SEC team make the tournament? I, for one, like you, don't want any part of it, but it's gonna happen anyway because Overlord Sankey wants it to happen. And lastly, we have teams like Kentucky in basketball and LSU in football trying to buy their way into a championship. Rumors are LSU has a 40+ million NIL budget for the season in football. That is insane. We are approaching astronomical numbers, but we'll see if this works. That's everything you need to know this week in college sports. No narratives, just reality. Tap in, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.